Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Shred and Soul.
I'm Shred, a.k.a. Kevin Wood.
And I'm Soul, a.k.a. Wind Hughes. We're really happy to be in the studio right now because we were out in the field today. And for Northern California, it's a cold and rainy day. And it was really cold as we trekked around the cemetery today because today's a Ghost Adventures episode.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's show them what we've got.
All right. Well, we were excited today because we're using some new technology. But first, why don't you show them what we've used before, the Ovilus?
Yeah, this is the Ovilus, and what you do is, find a quiet spot, or someplace where you can sense there's possibly some activity, and by activity I mean, ghostly presence. Basically, what you're looking for is communication, and this device is very sensitive, and the spirits learn quickly that they can talk through this device and trigger words to be displayed in the LED readout. And when you really get going, you can communicate and talk back and forth, and that is a very rare occurrence. But anyway, that's what this does.
Yeah, and you saw this featured in one of our previous Ghost Adventure episodes where we actually had some communication, and today we actually got one particular episode of communication through this, which we'll show you. And then this is something new that we've used, but not in an episode before. It's an SLS program. It's a Ghost Tube SLS, and it's an app that you can download to your phone. And I'm going to read you how it works, and what you will see as we use this is you can map figures. They appear as stick figures. And if you've ever watched Ghost Adventures, I'm sure you're familiar with them pointing it across the room, and you'll see stick figures walking across the room. And this is how it picks that up. And it indicates that there's a presence there that's not visible to the naked eye, but this picks up.
Very sensitive.
Yeah. So the Ghost Tube SLS is an app that can be used as an alternative to the traditional SLS camera or Kinect SLS camera, using the latest LiDAR technology, light detection ranging. Ghost Tube SLS projects a grid of infrared light just like the traditional camera and uses the infrared grid to detect depth and objects. So basically, this picks up depth and movement, and you'll be able to visually see that. And we did pick it up, so don't go away. Stay tuned, because you're going to be as blown away as we were.
Indeed.
Yeah. So in the beginning, we were walking through the cemetery, and it was rainy, kind of gray, and we had a break, luckily, in the weather. And we were asking and trying to communicate, and there was very little, nothing that was coming through. It was very quiet.
Yeah, it was. And I think that there were a couple of areas that we were gravitated towards, and we have clips.
Yeah, and we'll show you first just what it was like when we first got started walking through the cemetery, and nothing was coming through.
Yeah, seemed like a slow day at the cemetery at first, but then
it was a slow day at the cemetery.
Things started to pick up.
Yeah, so here's the clip of us just getting there. Here we are, the cemetery, doing a little ghost hunting. So far, it's pretty quiet. No responses on any of our devices.
I'm getting
random words. Nothing that's coherent to great tombstones.
Nothing that connects. Nothing that repeats. Not having much luck on the perimeter of the cemetery. I did receive some signals through the box, but nothing that really made any sense. So we decided to move on. And I began using this device. Yeah, Wynn started using that device and got some crazy footage.
Well, the strangest thing was it was picking up a figure following close along Kevin, and it would come and go and come and go.
An attachment, perhaps? I don't know. I did
Attachment
feel kind of
following
weird.
him. Well, you
know?
said for hours afterwards that
Yeah.
you just kept shaking it
Yeah,
off.
yeah. It's. I feel fine now, but yeah, it was odd. Let's see that clip.
Yeah, see the clip of you being followed. Well,
Pretty trippy.
that was trippy, huh? Hopefully, nothing's there.
I think I'm okay.
You're okay now. You're
Got
cleared. And then afterwards, we were wandering around again. We kept getting this sense to go that way. So we follow that sense. And Kevin was off on one end of this area, and I came to another end. And we'll show you two different clips. The first one to show you that we came upon a section of the cemetery. It was like a separate little cemetery area that was just for children.
Just kids. Like toys and things all over the stones
Yeah.
and the plots, and
It was just kids.
all kids. Just a very kind of horrible to have to see that and understand
It
that.
was mixed because I know
yeah.
I was very struck by it because you feel all the sadness of the families. That's what I felt as, the parents, the family members of these children. Some of them a day old, 2 days old, 2 weeks, 2 years old, but young for the most part. But I also had this sense of just sort of how sweet it was. It's odd to feel, but that all the children were together. I just had this sense of all these kids were in the same area, and then really reinforced that when you see the second clip. I had stepped back from that area, we were leaving it, and I turned around and wanted to get some more footage with the SLS. And right at the edge of the children's cemetery, this group appearance occurred. And it's one of the largest appearances we've seen. And we'll...
Quite amazing. Let's take a look
ready?
at that.
Okay. This is a cemetery of old children. Some of them were a day old, a year old. You can see all the toys and cool little things on these graves. Is anyone here who would like to talk to us? Are there any parents here watching over their children? Here's Barbie dolls. This beautiful girl probably loved her Barbie dolls. She was 2 years old. Her name was Madison. Some of these children are only a day old. There's something sweet about all these children being here together. This one's 1 year old. Little Olivia. This one was 1 day old. This one was about 2 weeks old. This one was 3 years old. There's something sweet about all these children being here together. As you can see, there are a group of spirits here, and this was right at the edge of the children's section. As I said, we stepped back and I turned around to record, just felt to, and there amongst the trees, it looks to me like a group of kids hanging out, playing, maybe I'm projecting, but they're interacting as if they're playing. At one point, it looks like two of them do a little dance. And so it warmed my heart to imagine that these children were all here together and that these beings were playing. I don't know how else to interpret what it is I was seeing. So I imagine that you were struck by that as we were. I was totally
I'm
surprised to
so
see
lucky
that.
you turned around.
Yeah, something called me to turn around
started
as we were
filming in that
leaving.
direction.
Yeah, you have to trust the inclination at times like this that says go here, go there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, definitely. The trips to the cemetery definitely have that. There's areas that you just feel like you should go and see.
yeah,
And that was definitely one of them.
yeah. And, sometimes it's a very peaceful day, and other times, like stumbling upon the children's section, it's a little heart-wrenching, but we have another segment.
Yeah, I after our experience at the children's cemetery, across the way there was a vast field of stones, and I was, walking around in amongst them with the ovulus, asking for any indication of any sort of presence, and the word David came to the ovulus, and I was thinking, okay, well, David is my middle name, but that didn't really come into play when I looked down and saw the stone I was right over.
Your feet were right on the stone.
My
He
feet-
called me over to take a picture. And what did the stone say?
It's David's stone. It's let's take a look at that.
Yeah, so we have a still of it because we didn't have the camera going when Kevin stumbled upon this, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Here you go.
And here I have the ovulus in my hand, standing over David's tombstone. Coincidence? I don't think so. So that was rather astounding. I mean,
Yeah,
it's more than just a mere coincidence.
Yeah.
Especially when you take it a step further. We, with this positive result, we said, well, let's get the other device
yeah.
up and running and see
well, I
what's
got
going
the
on around
SLS going, and then we walked around saying, David, are you there? And where are you? And just a few feet away, we were drawn to this circle of rose bushes.
Yeah, it was a monument wall.
Yeah.
And then a rose garden
Yeah,
attached.
really pretty.
Yeah, very pretty.
And then all of a sudden, a figure appeared. And I just assumed it might be David because we were calling for him. And you'll see the figure that appeared in the rose bush now. You ready for that clip?
Let's take a look at that.
Okay. So as we walked away from David's headstone, I used the device towards this beautiful rosebush area, and there was a figure dancing around. I don't know if it was David, but we had asked David to appear right before we saw this figure. So it could be David, it could be someone else just enjoying the rose garden, but watch for a second as you see it just standing there and moving around. I can only imagine that maybe it was someone who loved roses. Maybe David loved roses. And, there this being was. And it's just so comforting to see that our spirits go well beyond the body and are able to enjoy the rose bushes. Or maybe it was David, I don't know. But I like to think it was David visiting us and letting us know that his spirit continued long beyond the end of his body.
Well, that was pretty amazing.
It's very amazing, putting it mildly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have so much fun doing this, and I don't know what it is, but as many times as we do this, I'm always surprised when we get a result.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing in that we get results so frequently, and we're fine. I don't see any problem. It's just a matter of tapping into the energy and having some help
With our devices.
to make it a little easier.
Yeah, and we call them ghosts. And I don't know if they are
Residual.
just ghosts or residual from another time or beings that are interdimensional, that are walking amongst us and happen to talk to us. But I think that when you get a word that says, David, and you look down and you're standing on a headstone for someone named David, I don't think that's necessarily a visitor from another dimension. I definitely think that that spirit is connected, either in an imprint, or speaking directly to you.
I know, and you would think that after all the time, that wasn't a fresh tombstone or anything.
No, it wasn't.
The boundaries of time and space, I think, are probably not applicable in the afterlife or the afterworld,
Yeah.
or whatever world it is.
Yeah. I must say, though, that when I saw the figure following you, walking, first I thought it was you, and I went, oh, no. When there's one on you, it's right over the body, but this was next to you.
Yeah,
Either you were out of your body and it was capturing you walking inside yourself, or something was following you. But given how you felt afterwards, that funny feeling when we went out to eat, you felt like you couldn't shake it.
yeah,
Something was there connected to you, because we do this frequently, and we take our devices with us and have a blast going to haunted hotels and various cemeteries and have some really cool experiences. And like I said, we're always surprised. I guess the same way as if you're calling someone on the phone and they actually answer. We're always surprised when we get a response, and we usually get some sort of response. So, yeah, if you want any of these devices, you can buy them online, and I recommend them. They're kind of fun to play with. Hope we didn't freak you out a little bit with our stick figures.
And let us know in the comments whether you would like us to include more of these adventures.
Yeah, they seem to get a lot of
fun.
views.
We can't help it but try to tap into this kind of stuff wherever we go, so we don't film everything.
Yeah.
But if you want to see more, maybe we'll throw some more clips.
Yeah. Oh, I think we will, for sure, because we do it so much. And that was fun. I was glad to share it with you. Love to hear your feedback on this one. I guess that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So subscribe if you want, please. Comment, like Kevin has said. We need the subscriptions. We're working to build our base, and it lets you know when we have new episodes that are out when you subscribed.
Okay.
Okay.
See you next
See you
time.
later. Bye.
Bye.